log on.
Yeah, how are you?
Doing real well. How you doing?
Yes, good man. I'm enjoying your vibes, and I'm so happy that we can interview each other. Well, I'll interview you.
Cool, absolutely. Give thanks. I'm glad that you're able to check out the tunes. I'm glad they're resonating and really happy to be a part of your show.
Thank you. At the minute, I'm playing the track with Honey B, Natty Roots. I thought we had to start with that. For real.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that one. That's one of my faves.
Okay. So whereabouts are you based?
I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Okay. And how is it there with this current situation?
It's crazy, man. Let me turn off my, I got you going on my computer here. Let me turn that down.
No worries.
Honey B, Natty Roots.
Okay.
I thought we had to start with that.
Nice. Thanks for sharing. There we go.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, it's a crazy scene here, as with everywhere, on Earth, I guess, right now. To be honest, there's lots of turmoil and lots of, pain and lots of suffering, and also lots of people coming together to try and make the best of the situation. So there's both sides of the coin going down here. For the most people, it seems like people are, trying to do their best to, stay at home and support the initiatives that are going to keep us all healthy,
For real. So let's kick it off.
Yeah, how about in UK? You guys all right over there?
Yeah, we're okay. I think a lot of people are confused. Obviously, you might have heard the UK is doing something different to the rest of the places such as Scotland, Wales, Ireland. We're kind of in the centre doing our own little thing. So lots of people are confused as to why that is. But what can we do apart from just hope that everybody's okay?
Exactly.
Yeah, for real. So
Real talk.
So let's kick it off. Let us know who is Aaron Nigel Smith. First of all, tell us a little intro about yourself.
Yeah, I'm an educator. I'm a performer. I'm a producer, and I run a nonprofit. And I really try to, through all of my work, to try and make the world a better place. I do a lot of youth work primarily. That's what I'm mainly known for, to be honest, is the work that I do with youth around the world through the nonprofit One World Chorus. And so really we're teaching youth in schools how to drum and how to sing and how to create multimedia, production and platforms for themselves. And we're bringing youth from different parts of the communities and different parts of the world together to work on and to collaborate on projects, because I believe that, if we can steer the youth in the right direction, then hopefully the rest of us can follow their lead. You know what I mean?
Definitely. So, how did all these passion and loves come about? How did it all start for you?
For me, to be honest, music has been a real important catalyst for my growth and for my success and for my sanity, in all honesty. I was introduced to music at a very, very young age, and went away to a boarding school specifically for music. And through high school, there was another boarding school specifically for music, and went to college to get a music, and a music performance, program. So it was always been studying music, and I'm really blessed to have known that at such an early age that's what I wanted to do, so I don't take it lightly. And my journey has really just been all about learning music, and then composing music, and then sharing music, and now promoting music in the best ways that I can, and using music as a tool really for community building, and bringing the planet together.
Wow, that sounds good, man. It sounds good. So,
right on.
How did it all kind of, I know we spoke about what you like to do, but I understand you're in a choir, because your music's very fusion. It's like loads of different flavors all in one go. So how did that come about? Because it's quite hard to do.
Well, I have lots of influences. I mean, I have influences from, Bach and Beethoven and Mozart to Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and Yellowman, and Ziggy, so really it's a fusion of all that I've learned over the years, and all that I aspire to be honest, and I just try to really try to not to categorize it so much anymore. I used to be stuck on, I'm a classical musician, or I'm a reggae musician, or I'm a children's musician. And now I'm really just trying to lead towards I'm a musician, and I'm just using all the aspects of music that I know that can bring understanding and meaning and purpose.
For real. So you spoke about, I know they're complete opposite ends of the scale, Mozart to Yellowman. What as a musician, what do you take from each artist, if that makes sense?
To be honest, to be honest, there's more similarities than there are differences, like we categorize and we, call these, different genres, this and that, but there's all the essence of it is learning the craft and learning the rules of the craft and then breaking the rules of the craft, and creating your own way forward. And it seems like all the innovators, that have influenced me have done that, I mean, Bob used to, sing, doo-wop and R&B and all that stuff, and until he came into the ska, into the roots, into the reggae, and so I think all of us being willing to take that musical journey and to break down the walls and the barriers rather than, build them up,
For real. Have you ever been frightened, or has there been a time where you've been scared to break the barrier because of a reaction, or you've just gone with it?
I've definitely been self-conscious about how I, release music, definitely, and more so in my youth. I try not to let that, hang me up so much now. But definitely, I can't deny that definitely those thoughts emerge, of insecurity around how will this be received. I remember I did a track a few albums ago where I had, I think, a harpsichord playing, and I actually used some of my classical chops, on a more mainstream album, and had a harpsichord player playing, and another boy choir youth singing with me, and I was nervous about how that would be received, and when I put it out in the world, and to be honest, it didn't make a huge splash, and no one beat me up about it either, so I think being willing to take those creative risks is important, and it's important for your growth as a musician and an artist to be willing to take those on.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so like I said earlier, you fuse lots of different music together, and I find it really interesting, and I love it, if I'm honest. I think it's such a diverse way, because it's like you're appealing to lots of different people. Like, even if you were going to search for reggae and your name come up, you could still fit in that category, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just think,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I just think, for me, keep going. Keep going with that. I've got to say that for real.
Give thanks.
But
give thanks.
So I've got to ask you, I know you play lots of different instruments as well. And
yeah.
I want to know what you think about the importance of music and playing a live set of music, not just say, like a studio thing and you just play it whatever. What do you think the importance is?
I think it's key to really understand music, as I said earlier, knowing the rules before you break the rules, has always been important to me. So I do respect, I respect the DJs, and I respect, people that make samples, and respect people that make beats all the way, maximum respect. And I think it's key. It's a different experience when you can actually pick up a guitar and play a guitar, or play the piano, or manifest rhythms on a drum. It adds so much to your toolkit, and it adds so much to your value as an artist, and validation as an artist in certain, company, to be honest. So I don't think that it's essential to be, a music reader or a multi-instrumentalist. I just think it enhances your craft for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I gotta be honest, there's nothing like a live band, for example.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. It's second to none, and I think lots of people say that, but at the same time, I know the times are moving, and lots of people, they want things fast and quick. So to actually learn the guitar, as you probably know yourself, is quite a task to learn it and master it and so on. So do you think it will die out as such, or do you think it will still continue? I'm hoping not.
I'm so hoping not. Things come in cycles, I find, and so I believe that, the time of live music is going to come right back around. I mean, when I go to these festivals and see that there's a live band playing, but there's a DJ over here, and there's way more people at the DJ stage, I'm like, wow, this is where we are right now, and so you got to kind of respect it. And like you said, there's nothing like a live band. There's nothing like the vibrations that are put out by musicians musicians on stage together, creating, you know, an experience that will never happen in the same way again, you know. So it's monumental, I think, you know, to be able to play and fellowship in that way, you know. So let's not let it die. Let's send more musicians out. I'm doing a show, actually, live streaming a show on Tough Gong's Facebook page called The Big Up Show. And, you know, each segment I try to highlight a different musical instrument, and I try to give the youth a little basic introduction to music theory, you know. So you know, my little way of trying to you know, put out some vibes of learning and keeping the craft of musicianship alive, you know.
Yeah, let's keep it pushing, man. For real.
Yeah.
So when you're writing your lyrics or your content that you're going to put into a piece of music or whatever it may be, even to the artwork, you know, for the album, I'm always interested in the artwork, the whole project. How do you, as a person, decide what you're going to do?
You know, I don't take it lightly. It's a really monumental task to really put the whole package together, you know, and so even from the artwork, and, you know, I'm really, really hands-on. You know, I engineer, you know, first of all, I play all the instruments on all my demos just so I can get the vibe of what I want out, you know, so I'm really hands-on in that writing process, you know, and then I'll pass it off to a drummer or to a bassy or a keysy to enhance it and play it much better than I can play it, you know. And build it up, you know, and then I'm integral I just edited the last music video that was released, you know, so I take pride in being able to have a hand in all aspects of it, from the writing the song to branding it to you know, pushing it to promoting it. I'm in all of that, you know, and I don't say that that's necessarily normal. There's a lot of artists that kind of categorize and will just focus on just the music and then let their team handle all the rest. And I certainly have a team, and I like to, rather than I like to direct them in a way that to make sure I manifest what's most you know, hopeful in my most in line with my vision. You dig?
Yeah, for real. So you spoke earlier about being a teacher, being a youth worker. We share that same passion. For real.
Nice.
Yeah. So what is it that you have a vision of, either for the youth or for the future, if you have one?
Definitely, you know, my vision is that, you know, we can all learn the really important tools of communication and gratitude and compassion, you know, and love for one another, you know, so that we can uplift, you know, humanity. You know, I think it's just dreadful to see the division that we have in our country right now, and really in the world. There's just kind of like, you're hot or cold, you're left, you're right, you're this, you're that, you know. And I think my vision is that, you know, we'll scrap all that and come back to one, you know, because we're all seeing right now in this crisis that, you know, we're all, you know, every job is equally important. Every person is needed in this society in order to make it all work properly, and everyone has to participate in their own way, you know. And so we're just so hung up in playing the game and the way the system's taught us to, that, you know, we've got to break that mold. And so I guess my vision is, a vision of hope and love, and I'm not giving up yet. You know, I'm not giving up yet.
And just out of curiosity, what do you teach?
I teach primarily chorus, drumming, music and movement, and also multimedia production. So those are the 4 main classes that I'm teaching at the moment.
Okay, so people link him up. So when you say, tell us something about fundamentals of music and, like, you know, the movement, and because those words are used, people might not know what that is. So tell us a little something what it actually is.
Yeah, absolutely. So Fundamentals was really one of the first ventures that my wife and I started, and this was back in the early 2000s, I guess, like 2004 or 5 or something, I think. And really what it was is an opportunity to get youth moving and learning basic music concepts in a really fun and engaging class. And so I developed it and went from preschool to where ultimately, when I was still living in LA, we had the lion's share of all the preschools and all of the corporate daycares and all the studios like Sony and Paramount and Fox and all those studio daycare centers were using fundamentals as their music program for the youth. And so I grew that curriculum to where we franchised it and licensed it out to people nationwide. And then several years back, I kind of let go of that and sold it off to the top licensee. But really, the essence of the fundamentals program is, a tiered approach to giving youth access to songs, creative movement tools, fun musical games, basic yoga introduction, and things like that, and all in really quick little bite-sized bursts that they can handle with their attention span. So, yeah.
Wow. It sounds really interesting. So definitely have to link up on that for sure. So
yeah.
Tell us about the song "Let's Pretend." That song is what it's called, isn't it? Let's Pretend.
Yeah. That was an album called Let's Pretend and a song called Let's Pretend. Yeah.
Tell us something about that, because it won an award, didn't it?
Well, yeah, we won the NAPA and the iParenting Media Award for that project. I think a Parents' Choice Award as well. So it's a album that was it was the first children's album that I released, actually.
Okay.
And it really has, I think, 10 original songs that I created with the hopes of getting kids up and moving and singing and dancing in the classroom. Yeah. And so there are lots of imagination-based songs and lots of music and movement-based songs and lots of character play, storytelling through song, and really, it's a joy to go back and listen to some of those tunes. I've got my son Zion; he debuted on that album. He's like 5 years old, busting out. I think on the Butterfly song, singing a solo there, and so, it was my first exploration of children's music in a commercial kind of capacity, and it still seems to stand today. It's still getting downloads and streams. So yeah.
Wow. So tell us, how do you, if you do, change your style between, say, writing for the children, as it said, and then writing for people, say, my age and above, so like 20s and above?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it was a big creative risk for me when I did my most recent album entitled In Our America. It was, really, I was reflecting on our time, and I had released, to that point, 5 children's albums, and it was time for me to release another album, and I kind of just made a pivot, and I'm going to talk about what's going on in my mind and what's going on in our home, and what's going on in our community, and what's going on in our world, from my humble, vision and from my perspective. And so, when I write for children, my main objective is to just encourage them, and to educate them and to entertain them. And when I write for adults, I think it's to share a vision, and to show that an understanding or an overstanding, and to try and bring us together. I think both writing styles, they are very fluid for me, and they feel very natural. I try not to force it in either realm.
So tell us about one of my favorites from that particular album is "Kat-a-lyst Africa."
Nice.
Tell us something about that, because I like that tune.
Yeah, so Kat-a-lyst Africa, I had the great privilege of going to Kenya several years back on a mission to bring some youth together in a choral album recording called One World Chorus, Welcome to the Village. Okay. And so I went over there and worked with some youth at the Shura Orphanage, and also got the opportunity to visit a couple of the other schools and community centers around there, and really took in a lot of the culture, the local culture. Yeah. And I was working at a studio called Kat-a-lyst Studio in Nairobi, and I hear these chants being played at the studio, these really tribal, just raw, folk chants. And I went into the studio to say, hey, what is this, and they explained that they went out into the bush and recorded some of the elders and some of the master musicians and performers that, like, in their element. And so I was inspired to start writing, and I started writing the tune "God Bless Africa" right then and there, to be honest. And then they said, why don't you use these chants, in this song? And so we laid over those chants into the song, and then that really creates the character for me and the vibe, and also a real link to the continent,
For real. So explain that feeling, because when I went to Africa, there was nothing like it at all. But explain that feeling, hearing the authentic sound of African chants, because there's nothing like it. But tell us your experience.
Yeah. It was eye-opening. It was monumental. It was a very heavy experience for me, It's obviously, as a Rasta and, as an African American, my whole identity, is in some ways a mystery, and so to go at least back to the continent and to put my feet on the ground where I know I have roots in history, was something that I will never forget, and then having access in that time to, I had a wonderful guide that kind of took me. I mean, I was not hanging at the resorts. We were hanging in the streets, we were hanging in the village, we were hanging in the ghettos, we were hanging in the slums, and so I got to really see, the real, or a side of the real vibe there, so it was a very life-changing experience. It set me on a path to where, I have enormous appreciation for the culture, enormous appreciation for my history, and enormous gratitude, for all that Africa has brought us, the world,
Most definitely. And I think it's the same as well, because me being mixed identity or dual heritage, however people wish to describe it, it's really important to look at your history from either or, whether it's whatever you're from. And I think it's really important. But Africa in particular was just a beautiful place. You just feel at home. If people have gone, they'll know. Definitely.
Yeah, that was it. That's it. I finally felt at home, both there and in Jamaica. When I go, it's just, there's a presence there and a vibration there that is like, wow, okay, I'm not the minority, or I'm not this, or I'm that. I'm just one with the people here, in this moment, in this time, So definitely that resonates.
For real. So you also worked with Ziggy Marley, which is a blessing. So how did that come about? How did that come about, and that journey?
That's definitely one of the most interesting journeys that I've been on in this time, in this life, and in this place. I was known for the music program in LA that I mentioned, the Fundamentals program. And so I was kind of one of the top, I guess, music teachers in LA. And that word was kind of getting out and circulating. And I was invited to teach or I believe actually orally, Ziggy's wife attended a class that I was teaching at a private class I was teaching at home locally there in Hollywood, and then we determined that it would be cool to do a class in their neighborhood, and so we did a class at Ziggy's in Orly's home for a few years there. We just did a weekly music and movement class for the local children, and lots of kids came out, and we did it very consistently for a good number of time, and it was just amazing to be able to witness that and to be a part of the children's growth there, and from there we developed a friendship, and he participated on an album of mine and asked me to help produce children's vocals for several of his albums, and I get the privilege of helping to build and work and facilitate the One Love Youth Camp in Jamaica through that connection too, and so it's been amazing. That link has, connected me with the Bob Marley Foundation, connected me with Tough Gong International, connected me with all people, Rastas all around the world, and as a, Bob Marley was very clearly influential to us all, so to have, that type of introduction and access has been really monumental.
So you spoke of Rasta. what is the, I'm going to say, impact in your life of Rasta? Because it impacts different people, but I would like to know yours.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I came, as I explained, my education was like very Eurocentric, all of the schools that I went to and all the music that I was learning and everything came from Europe, and I did not have a very solid identification with my culture.
Okay.
To be honest, I was kind of like being buried, or I was running from it. I don't know what it was, and well, a friend of mine gave me a Bob Marley, a Nazi Dread cassette tape, back in the 80s, and I listened through that, and just the lyrics and the words and the empowerment that I heard through it, and the references to culture were key. And so I started, going on that learning journey, and haven't looked back since high school, and just been trying to learn and grow and to, love. Really, I feel like that's the essence of it all anyway. So just learning how to love in the most holistic way,
For real. Wow. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So I know you've got a new project. I'm going to say a new project that's just come out with the Mighty Diamonds. Declaration of Rights. What a tune. Of course, if people don't know, that tune has been done, but you seem to add a different flavour, a different vibe to it. So of course, I've got to let you tell us about the project.
Well, it's really cool to be able to collaborate with Juba White and Whitestone Productions and the Great Mighty Diamonds on the tune, So Juba, he's got a whole EP coming out on this rhythm, so you want to check all the tunes that are coming out on it. And, it was really inspirational to be tapped to work with Mighty Diamonds on this one, So I just sprinkled my little influence on there where I could, but the tune stands on its own with or without me, so I just did the best I could to stand up to it and bring my voice, my honest voice to it, So it was a fun project. It's a joy. It just dropped. I think, was it yesterday? Or is it today? Today's Sunday, so 2 days. Just dropped on Friday. Yeah, a couple of days ago. So yeah, we're pushing it. We'd love for more people to go download it and to stream it and to take it in. The message resonates always. Declaration of Rights. And these are rights that over time and over years and over centuries we've been struggling to get, and we still the struggle exists. And so. If you watch the video of this song, we kind of spin it to talk about healthcare rights, in this particular moment in time. So definitely want to check out the video and feel the vibes,
For real. So what's next for you? What have you got coming up in the pipeline? I know there's COVID-19, but what have you got coming up and happening? Because I'm sure you've got things going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, right. The biggest focus for me is creating online learning platforms, and online learning. And so what I've done is I've been videoing classes each week for the youth and recording music pretty much nonstop. And so hopefully when this is all said and done, I'll have a wealth of online educational resources for the youth and a new album that'll be dropping probably in 2021.
Okay.
Gotta keep on writing as much as I can and try and get this going, So yeah, it's more music and more content for the youth is what I anticipate in 2021 and the fall of 2020 still even.
For real. So, will you be coming to the UK anytime soon?
I would love to. I've not been to UK performing since I was a youth, actually, since I was very young. Yeah. And I would love to. I would love to get up there once we start rocking again and get shows and festivals up. Definitely, I've got a European tour kind of, in my sights. Okay,
I look forward to that for sure. So, I've got to ask. Once again, let the listeners out there know, any your project that's just dropped, where they can link you, how they can join up with you, and if they want to get in touch with you.
Definitely. So you can check me out at AaronNigelSmith.com, and the nonprofit I run is One World Chorus. You can check that at oneworldchorus.org. And the new single is Declaration of Rights, Mighty Diamonds, featuring myself. And you can get that on any streaming platform and downloadable, you know, on all the download platforms as well. So definitely check that out wherever you get your music, Declaration of Rights. And then the video dropped on YouTube on, I think, Whitestone Productions YouTube page, and then also on, I think Reggaeville might have picked it up too. So yeah, it's out there now. So go check out the video too. You'll dig it, I think.
For real. So, of course, I've got to ask you, would you be up for doing a little something live for the listeners? Oh,
yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let me put down my phone here. Hold up a sec.
All right,
then. Let me see here. Oh, here we go. Sorry.
No worries.
Gonna take me a second to get acclimated here.
No worries.
All right. Let's see here. I'm a one-man studio operation, so bear with me.
No worries, that's so good. Yes, people that are locking in, we're going to have a performance now from Aaron Nigel Smith. Okay, make sure you check out his new project that's come out with the Mighty Diamonds. Go and check it out. Remember, it's all about positivity. We don't really care about negativity, okay? All positive stuff. So big respect to everybody locked in and loving the vibes.
Yeah. Excuse me, let me get a little water here.
Oh, good.
No, I'm good, thanks, babe. Let's see here. I think I do Vision.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. To me, no, I'm no money, not a piece of land. To me, no, I'm no security. To me, no, I'm no riches in hand. So when I get up in the morning, I got to give thanks and praise. And then I'm back into the struggle, living day by day. But I got sunshine, and I got today, and I got the children's smiles to show me the way. Yeah, and I got a vision, I got to light, I got this feeling that everything will be alright. Oh yeah, to me no, I'm no mommy, and no papa too, and me no, I'm no granddaddy. To me no, I'm no crew. Oh no, sometimes the night's so lonely, until it's clear to see that I dwell in the house of love with my family, 'cause I got 2 strong sons, and I got a loving wife, and I got a granddad who raised me, and sisters and brothers for life. I got a vision, I got to light, I got this feeling that everything will be alright. Vision. The name of that tune is Vision.
Yeah.
You can get it on In Our America, streaming, downloading everywhere, and there's a cool video for that too on Reggaeville and YouTube and all those places, you know?
Yeah, for real. You know what? It's been a pleasure talking with you. It really has. And you know what? All I can do is bless you for your journey. I know you're doing some things with Tough Gang International. And of course, I just want you to keep going far, yeah?
Yes, give thanks.
Yeah, we'll have to keep the link. And of course, I'll pass you my WhatsApp and so on so we can keep that link and share the music, yeah?
Absolutely, please do.
For real. Anything you want to say to the listeners out there before we go?
Just blessings, peace, and love, all right? And stay home and wash your hands, all right?
Yeah, give thanks. We'll speak again soon, yeah?
All right, peace.
All right, bless up. Yes, everybody, thank you for watching.